Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast dumber than the Rockies in a rundown. My name is Nate Heininger, and back with me is my co-host, Ben Samorka.
Hey, y'all.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. Hambone, you're back. You didn't get eaten by a shark or whatever it is that you were doing. I saw you jump into the water. I saw a video of you jumping into the water. I was waiting for the pool of blood to come up and just a leg come bobbing up, but it did not happen. So you're back with us this week, the last week of the regular season, our last episode of the Cardinals playing
good
baseball.
Time, boys. Ooh-wee.
Yeah. Once again, how dare you leave during such a critical moment in the Cardinals season? It was rough not having you to break down critical games.
Was it?
No, actually, it was quite pleasant. Thanks again to Kelsey for coming on the show last week. It was mentioned in the Bird Scored that it was just like a far more positive and friendly episode than the show normally is. And
wow.
I don't want everyone getting too used to that, though. So I'm glad you're back.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelsey. I listened to the episode, and I was thinking about not hopping on today, Nate, because of the way that I felt I was spoken about, the way that I felt my character was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
On microphone on my own program.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I was called Grimace. I think my intelligence was assaulted. I think my commitment to the show was brought up. I think, I don't know if there was really a nice thing said about me.
I feel like these are pretty standard topics for this show, though.
Yeah. Interesting. So... thanks, I guess.
Well, anyway, Grimace, how was your trip? You just you went on a lovely little trip with your wife.
Yeah.
I said before we recorded that I wanted to genuinely know about how this went, but why talk to you if it's not for content at this point? So I'm curious. How did it go?
It was a fantastic trip. I'm a beach guy.
Wow.
This is, I think, the third or fourth time we've done like a Caribbean style vacation. Gone to several, a few islands, and it is just my jam. I think I could lay on the beach and do very little for months at a time. When
you're laying on the beach, do people ever like run around circling you, trying to roll you back into the ocean?
Yeah. No, unfortunately. Is that like, is that a whale?
Yeah,
is that a grimace or like a weird grimace on the beach joke? I wasn't sure where you're going.
I think it's a whale joke.
Okay. No, but I can do some pretty cool tricks with my dorsal fin.
Nice.
That really gets people going.
Yeah, that's nice. So you're a beach guy. Wow, what a revelation. That must be tough for you living in the mountains.
It is, honestly. It was like I live in a high, dry, generally cold climate, and I was at sea level in the moisture for 9-10 days or whatever. And honestly, my entire, it really changes your outlook on life. I was enjoying myself.
Yeah, you were on island time, baby. I was on island time just a month ago.
I'm still kind of on island time. I will say, like, logging back into real life today, and hopping on this goddamn call with you, like I'd just been dreading it for days.
Same.
I really slide into that lifestyle really, really quickly, and pulling up out of it sucks. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. But no, it was great. The island of St. Lucia is great. The people were great. The food was great. The weather was great. The beaches were crystal clear. I had some really fun snorkeling off reef excursions that was cool. And Yeah. There was, I think my wife posted a photo of me jumping off the back of a catamaran into the ocean, and yeah, it was just great. We checked out a volcano, did some mud baths. I drove a dune buggy for the first time, which was fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
that's how I've
It was
never
like
done that. And that's
one
on my
of
list of like shit I
holy
really want to
shit.
do.
Also, these dune buggies, they were limited to 75 miles per hour, which thank God, because they
Yeah,
were so
limited to 75 miles
yes,
per hour.
they were so powerful.
Yeah.
It was really, really fun. Like
So were you actually on like dunes, like sand dunes, or were you going through like a jungle or something?
completely wild. So we start on a street, a road, a city
Okay.
road. And they're like, okay, we're going to we're going to drive about 10, 15 minutes on these roads. And then we did like a rainforest kind of like off-roading, like very rocky, muddy terrain. We're splashing up water and mud and all that crap. And then we made our way to, it was 3 or 4 beaches. And then we were doing the dune kind of sandy dune beach ocean thing, and then we would kind of take like a rainforest trail to get to the next one, and then end it again on the road to get back to the like where you park the dune buggies or whatever. So driving a dune buggy on a foreign road on the wrong side of the road
Yeah.
was wild. Driving a dune buggy in the rainforest was wild, and then being able to go full bore on the sand was one of the more fun things I've ever done in my life. It was
It's
next level.
it's like jet skis, but for sand.
Oh my God. Yeah. And like, I just can't, the amount of power that you just, it's basically like a high end motorcycle engine in a golf cart.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy
That sounds
with a roll cage.
That sounds incredible. Did you
Yeah,
have
really.
Dune Buggy by Presidents of the United States of America stuck in your head the whole time?
I didn't even consider that.
Wow,
And
man, it's immediately that's all I've been thinking about over here.
I'm a big POTUS fan, so
Yeah.
I am sorry to say that I should have just lied to you. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool.
And there was a kitty on my foot, and I did want to touch
Well,
it.
of course.
Well, of course. Oh my God, the cats.
Were there cats?
There were cats everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, it was breaking my heart left and right. I probably broke the rules, but I gave cats a lot of food.
Yeah.
During dinner time.
That happened to me in I was in Malta in the spring, and I was walking like down to a beach, and there was a rock wall, like a retaining wall that had been built, but there were little, is that, if you imagine like a big rock retaining wall, full rocks were like missing from it, creating
Sure.
these little holes and tunnels into the wall, and there were just cats in there. And so and this is a very public place, it's just a walking path to get down to the beach, but the cats absolutely did not like that there were people there. And so they're just like, like meowing every time. So, but it was quite the shock to just be like walking to the beach and have a cat just start yelling at you. But of course, I'm like, ooh, I get down on my hands and knees. And I'm like trying to pet the wild cats and whatnot.
Hey, baby. Yeah.
But I always have like, there is a little bit of like, oh, like poor little guys, but also, they're cats. They're also surviving.
Yeah, they were fine.
Yeah.
I just, you've been drinking pina coladas for about 8 hours, and you throw a little steak or shrimp
Sure
at the kitties, and try to get them closer to you so you can pet them, and do that pretty much every night. It was entertaining. I as a huge just animal lover, it was I loved it.
I went on a run the other day and I got hissed at by a goose, Ben.
Hissed at by a goose. Do you remember the time
I know what you're
where
saying.
you and
yes,
I were in the parking lot of a Kohl's?
Yes.
I believe you were about seconds away from getting murdered by a mother goose.
Yeah, we were like 11 because we're at Kohl's with our moms. And
you were probably more like 16, 17.
Yeah, 23, 24 years old. I don't know. We were kids. And there was like
young enough that our moms were shopping in Kohl's and we were like, we're going to stay outside.
Yeah, because we were cool guys.
Yeah.
We're like bad boys, We're like the bad boys of podcasting, and we even were back then too.
Can I be Martin Lawrence and you be Will Smith?
I feel like that's our dynamic.
Okay.
But I'm like,
that's our dynamic.
I'm like Will Smith before the slap. I'm like when everyone loved Will Smith. You know what I mean? Peak of his career, Will Smith. I'm like right before that, Will Smith.
When was the peak of Will Smith's career? I think Will Smith has sucked for like 20 years.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. is the peak of his career winning like essentially a legacy Academy Award, or was it
I
like
refuse to watch that movie.
1999? Probably
Yeah.
like 19. When did like
I think the peak of Will Smith's career was in Independence Day, where he says, "I have got to get me one of these."
that right there?
That was the peak, and it was downhill from there.
Great line read, by the way. I think it was. Oh no, you did not just shoot that green shit at me. That's I think was the peak of his career.
That green shit at me. Is that also
It's
from
also
Independence Day?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's when he's flying the spaceship and the other spaceships are shooting at him. Yeah. Or maybe he's in his jet. I don't know.
Yeah. The difference between you and me, Nate, I make this look good.
Wow. My personal favorite is in iRobot when somebody says something and he like sneezes and he goes, "Oh, sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit." It's a line that I still use in my personal life.
That movie sucks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm like
Shia LaBeouf.
I'm like good Will Smith, and you're like shitty Martin Lawrence.
I don't know if Martin Lawrence, he hasn't had a downfall, has he? Unless he's like wrapped up in this Diddy stuff that we shouldn't talk about.
Yeah, let's not get too close to that. I don't know enough about it.
Yikes.
Okay, well, I'm glad you had a good time on your trip. That got way sidetracked there.
Yeah. I'll say the best thing I ate really quick was I don't think I talked about this already, but on one of the things that we did that was after we hired that catamaran, they took us to this little cafe, this like thatched roof cafe in the middle of the rainforest. And I had, I think, the best beans and lentils, and it's like a Caribbean Creole style cooking down there. I had like some of the best fall off the bone chicken I've ever had in my life. They also had this row of crazy sauces, like getting spicier and spicier.
I love a row of sauces.
Oh, so good. Shout out St. Lucia. It's beautiful. Pitons. It was great. Really, really enjoyed myself. And I'm sad I'm back here talking to you.
Are you going to move to the beach now?
I was looking up houses there, and I don't know, maybe. They're on the East Coast time zone. They're just really far south. I don't know. I feel like I could do it.
Maybe for a little while at least. I suspect those are one of those places where you like love to vacation, but if you actually lived there, you'd be like, all right, I need like my mountains or whatever it is that is going to pull you back.
Yo, I want my MTV.
Refrigerators.
Okay.
All right, so you came back and you immediately went to a Cardinal game, which is
hell yeah.
awesome. Unfortunately, in years past, I would be there right now and we'd be recording in your basement, but all this travel and everything has made it hard for me. But hopefully next year. But I couldn't go, but you still went to the games. Of course, the Cardinals are in town in Colorado. And we mentioned on last week's episode, we kind of messed up our schedule, or rather we didn't think about it in time. I guess that's the same thing. But we had a listener, our chief Canadian correspondent, is there now, is at the games, and it asked for some advice on things to do around Denver. Our episode's going to come out like in the last game. I don't know how long they're going to be there, but if there's anyone else that's listening and is in Denver and wants just like a quick couple of recommendations on something to do while they're there in town, what would you tell them to do, Hambo?
Yeah, I'll do this really quick. So if you're around the ballpark, I think you have to go to Jackson's, which is kind of the old school hole in the wall, but it's massive and very fun and very silly. It's a sports bar that's 2 stories. Go upstairs, get pickle shots, drink a Coors Banquet, and you will immediately be a Denverite. And then they're a little more touristy, but I think still good, is McGregor Square, which is a new build, this like giant monolith to like sports and beer that is now right next to Coors Field. They have a massive TV. They have a ton of bars. There's a food hall. It's a great place to kind of like post-game, pre-game vibe out. And then I'll also throw out Milk Bar if you're like trendy and hip.
Milk Bar.
If you walk over to Milk Bar, which is like 2 blocks away from Coors Field, it's like a food hall, live, work, shop, vino, this, that, a little bit of everything over there, but you can kind of like go in this little back alley and have yourself a good time. Those are where I would find myself. I will probably find myself at one of those 3 places tonight before I go to the game. But stay away from me. And then around there, food wise, La Diabla, which is a Pozzoli and mezcal spot, is like some of the best Mexican food you can get in the city. It is right next to the ballpark. Could not recommend it more highly. And then arguably, now Colorado is not known for their pizza, but arguably one of the best pizza spots in Denver is called Marco's Coal Fired, which is also right by the ballpark. Great place to grab a slice. I'll shout out 2 more places really quick. The Cherry Cricket, that's a great place for burgers and hanging out right by the ballpark. It is kind of kitschy. The burgers aren't great, but it is kind of a Denver, like everybody there is going to be wearing Rockies gear. So that is kind of fun. And then finally, the last place I'll shout out is my brother's bar, the oldest bar in Denver. Great cheeseburgers, great atmosphere, tiny tables. The place has been around since like before Denver was a city. And it's one of my wife and I's favorite places to hang out. I think I've taken Nate there at least once or twice.
There. It's very good. I think we've gone there several times at this point. It's very, very good.
It's a very old school burger spot. It's the kind of burger spot where they bring you out just a cheeseburger, whatever you ordered, and then they bring out this like separate cart of accoutrements, and it's got like all kinds of like onions and pickles and condiments and jalapeno, like, and you can kind of build your burger there, and it's a very specific experience. But
when you see that, you're like,
I love it.
I have got to get me one of these.
Callback. That was good. I liked it.
Thanks. Sorry, go on.
I think I'll leave it there. I'm sure there's more places to recommend, but that's ballpark stuff. That's Denver stuff.
Yeah.
And always, holler at your boy. I'll give you more recommendations. Hit me up on X, formerly known as Twitter.
What was the pizza?
Email us.
What was the pizza place we went to last time? Redemption.
So Redeemer is better, but it's not close to the ballpark.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you just want to go get good pizza, go to Redeemer. It's probably like a mile away from the ballpark. Marco's Coal Fired is probably the second best pizza in Denver, and it is right next to the ballpark. And I haven't taken you there, Nate, but maybe next time you're in town, we'll go there and compare them, because it's exactly what it sounds like. Very old school coal-fired pizza. They burn your crust just a little bit.
I love that. You want that?
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right down the street from us, one of the closest, maybe the closest establishment to our house. It's been empty since we've lived here, other than a short-term little vegan cafe that was open for, I think, 3 days. But the building is adorable, and it's in the process of being converted into a Mexican pizzeria.
Wow.
And they have a wood fire oven built off the back of it. And I've never been to a Mexican pizzeria. I've gotten a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell, 10, 15 years ago. I'm assuming it's not just going to be those, although maybe a great market idea. The Mexican pizza has a cult following, but a Mexican pizzeria. I'm very excited about it. And
I'm sure it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll be in Denver in February, so maybe we can check that out then.
That sounds good. I don't know, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if this is a thing in other cities, but there is a thing in the Denver Mexican restaurant scene, which we do have a very vibrant Mexican food scene in a couple of neighborhoods. There's this it's like this internal competition to see who has the best cheeseburger.
At a Mexican restaurant.
Yes. And they all, like, any Mexican restaurant you go to in Denver is going to have a ridiculously good cheeseburger. And there's like this internal kind of like, it's that and green chili. There's like this weird competition, but I wonder if I don't know. Maybe the pizza thing. I don't know. Maybe they're taking it as a challenge. I'd love to know more.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, I think at one point Denver had a reputation for being one of the whitest cities in America. I don't know if that's still the case, but the Mexican restaurants having a cheeseburger contest certainly.
Oh, well, let's not get it twisted. Denver is very, very white,
Yeah.
but there are certain parts of
Yeah,
Denver
I know.
that have some of the best Ethiopian and Mexican food I've ever had.
Yeah, I don't mean to. It's just
No, I trust me. I'm living in it. It's. There's a lot of me out here.
I will also say though, I support.
And you know who I hate?
What's that?
Me.
Wow. Well, same. I will say though, I support in any industry, anywhere. I support the challenge to have the best cheeseburger. So it could be a Mexican restaurant. It could be a paper towel factory. I don't care. Get in the game, everyone. Let's make good cheeseburgers.
Okay. I have nothing to say to that.
So you went to the game though. That was a fun game. I watched the whole game last night.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, it was a true Rockies experience. I think, tight game. And seriously, I know rundowns fail sometimes. Yeah. Like that's why everybody always tries. You always give it a shot, but most people sort of half-heartedly kind of like try not to get caught. But the fact that the Rockies blew a rundown to result in the bases loaded and blow it in such a comical way was really had me laughing.
I have never seen that play before. That specific way that play unfolded. I don't think I have ever seen that before. And if you missed it, essentially what happened, Lars Nootbaar gets caught running from third to home. A little bit of a pickle ensues. Jacob Stallings the catcher decides to run the ball all the way back to third base. Jacob Stallings is somehow not paying attention to what's going on or what. I don't know exactly what his brain fart was. But the Rockies completely abandoned second base. So while this is happening, Lars Nootbaar basically walks back to third base, and I can't remember who the runner was behind him. Victor Scott, who should have been caught up. One of them should have been caught up. Just straight up runs to an unmanned second base, and everybody's safe. The fact that he didn't make a throw was insane. The fact that nobody was covering second was insane. The fact that they just didn't tag out Lars Nootbaar at any point during the play was insane. And then, of course, the fact that the very next play led to RBIs was hilarious.
Well, on another error, but
on another error.
I think so. What happened is I think 99% of the time, so when the runner advances from second to third, they just plant themselves at third. And the rundown ends at third base with the third base no longer belongs to Nootbaar. He goes back and just gets tagged out by Stallings. But Victor Scott, I think, really was the one who had the heads up play to notice that second base was open. So he left third base, which made it available to Nootbaar. And then Stallings didn't realize that Nootbaar was safe and clear at third. I think he thought Newt was out because that's how that play happens most of the time. And instead, Victor Scott ran back to second, and Masyn Winn, also in on this, ran back from second to first when the whole thing was happening. So I think it's just that, like, again, most of the time, Victor Scott or the person in his shoes just stays at third and Newt's out, and they just take the runners at second and third, and the game goes on. But Scott running back is what caused the confusion. And so it was a combination of heads up by Victor Scott and heads down by Jacob Stallings.
Yes. It's just proper, true losing baseball. And I watch a lot of Rockies baseball, and it is fun to get a perspective on the game that is different, because you kind of I almost feel like you get a better sense of the game because people are playing it badly. You see how good other teams are. And the funny thing is, I consider Jacob Stallings to be a pretty high IQ, like pretty solid player. So I don't know if it's just the malaise of the end of the season or being a Rocky or what, but he kind of just shat the bed there. And I think you just have to have, even if it's a center fielder, somebody has to be on second base there. But they weren't, so it wasn't. And it had a lot of fun. There was a lot of Cardinals fans in the stands last night.
Yeah.
We were all having a good time.
Yeah, it seemed like a fun game. And then, they immediately have another error to score the tying run. And then, it just sort of goes on from there, and the Cardinals end up winning. And here we are now. They've got this series that is concluding, and then the last series. So we've made it to the end of the 2024 regular season. There has been some Cardinal news and some roster moves. So, Ben, you want to run us down that?
Yeah, Sonny Gray has been placed on the IL for the remainder of the year, of course, with forearm flexor tendonitis. This is something he'd been dealing with once the Cardinals got, officially knocked out. Obviously, it made sense to not push it any further. So nothing really to report here. Shouldn't be a big deal. Does not seem like it is going to require off-season surgery or anything like that. Should have a normal off-season. But yeah, Sonny Gray out for the remainder of the year, which is only moments away.
Yeah, it is. I think, this shouldn't really matter for next year. It doesn't really matter that he's going to miss a start. So it's a bummer. You don't like to end the season on the IL, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you don't like to end the season where the Cardinals have ended the season.
Yeah, I guess just blanket statement there. We don't like any of this, except this next news. It's
all bad.
Yeah, this next news bit though. This is fun.
Yeah, first I gave you a little vinegar, Nate, and then I followed up with a little bit of honey.
Wow.
You didn't like that. I thought you would like that a little more.
Well, I kind of liked it, I guess, but also at like the exact same time, I got a phone call which blew up my whole computer screen, and I was confused, and you froze for a second. So there's that. But
be a professional. Do not disturb it. What is wrong with you? We're recording a show right now.
I gotta keep my eyes and ears to the ground. I'm always keeping.
When's the last time you got an important phone call?
Earlier today, because my power was out for like 6 hours, and I was worried that we weren't going to be able to record. So I was waiting to hear back from the power company. So today, bitch.
Okay. All right, well,
I've got to get me one of these.
Okay. Quinn Matthews was Baseball America's 2024 minor league pitcher of the year.
Yeah.
Wow. What a meteoric rise. This guy is a stud. Everything he does is incredible. I kind of want to see him throw a couple of big league innings before the year is over. I don't think that's going to happen.
I know.
But boy, oh boy, would it be fun. And wow, look at your rotation coming into vision for 2025. Quinn Matthews seems like he is destined for a great 2025.
I know it. Like the rate at which he's rose and the quality at which he is rose. I mean,
if you take a look at his rose rate.
What is his rose rate?
Through the roof. I normally preach. I am a preacher. I normally preach, like patience with a Cardinal or with pitching prospects. You want to see them sort of work their way up level by level. Basically, like the Cardinals have been doing with Tink Hence. Like we all want to see him in the major leagues, but like I've been super happy and comfortable with the way they've been growing his workload and all that, and it seems fine. But every once in a while, there are these guys that just sort of come up. They something clicks. They've got the build for it, and they just fly through the minors, and they immediately become. I won't say who knows what his final like value level will be, but his ability to pitch at the major league level seems already set. Like I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but I mean. The Braves do this a lot. The Braves are great at developing pitching. We saw them do it with like Spencer Strider. He kind of came out of nowhere, flew through the minors, made his major league debut. Now he's got Tommy John, but whatever. We like who doesn't have Tommy John?
The Cardinals like never have these sorts of guys, and so it seems to me that he's going to make a play at a rotation spot next year out of spring training. And I sure hope so, because we got plenty of opportunities and the dude looks legit. So why not?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of change and a lot of movement. And 2025, I think we're going to be looking at a very different team. We better be, but
Yeah.
it seems very likely that JJ Weatherholt, Tink Hintz, and Quinn Matthews are going to impact the big league club next year in some real
Yeah.
way.
Or trade
But of
them.
course,
Like while their
we'll
value
see.
is like the three of those guys, their value is super high right now. So
Vladdy Guerrero,
yeah. Yeah. Um,
they should do it.
I'd like to think it wouldn't take all three of them to get Guerrero. 1 year of Guerrero, that feels pretty rough. But something
Yeah.
centered around one of them and then a couple of the other guys at the major league level. I don't know.
Vladdy. Okay. That would be fun. The Cardinals announced over the weekend that the season-long attendance clocked in at 2.8 million. As Jeff Jones of the Belleville News Democrat points out, that marks the first time since Busch Stadium 3 opened in 2006 the Cardinals sold fewer than 3 million tickets in a season. Oh no.
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
They missed their projected numbers. Well, the only reason I don't really care about this. The only reason I really bring up 2.8 million is a shitload of people. First off, that a lot of teams would kill for that.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring this up is to telegraph that the DeWitts and Mo and whoever else is going to end up being in charge of this situation are going to use that over and over again for why they're not bringing in Corbin Burns or whoever you want to pick on, whoever the big free agent is. So just get ready for that. That's going to happen. Even though 200,000, if that really throws off your projections or your financial situation for next year, then like, I don't really understand how this works, but it is what it is. That happened. That is newsworthy. And, it really seems unlikely like the Cardinals are going to break that next year.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens though.
They're coming off, back-to-back losing seasons. If
this is not a losing season
or playoff. Well, technically, we don't know yet. They could lose out, but that's unlikely. They have not clinched a winning season.
The Rockies will buoy.
Yeah,
I think that,
and then the Giants. So I know. It seems likely that this will be a winning season. But okay, playoff missing season, back to back.
Yeah.
I think it's very reasonable that that ticket sales have decreased. I wonder if the pitch clock has had some impact on that too. I don't know how you would ever measure this, but if you're a fan, you're like, well, they're not going to win, and it's only going to go for 2 hours and 30 minutes or 2 hours and 25 or whatever it is. Like, I don't feel like going all the way out there spending $300 for like 2.5 hours of a losing team. At least in the past, because they've had losing seasons before or playoff missing, like you said, since 2006, missed the playoffs in 16, 17 and 18 and yet still sold 3 million tickets. So why this year when they were actually,
I think because the team is worse.
I mean, but we were up until basically like August 5th or whatever. It felt like they had a real shot at the playoffs, right? They were in a playoff spot, had bought at the trade deadline, etc. There have been like worse, like last year was worse and still sold 3 million. 17 and 18 were pretty rough and still sold 3 million. So why this year did it drop? I'm just speculating. I don't know. I just wonder if like the value of going to a live game is reduced for people because of how short it is now. Could totally be wrong, but
I think you're kind of wacky for that. I don't.
Kind of wacky.
I don't think. I think people like the shorter games.
Yeah. I mean, it's been generally pretty popular. I just don't know about from a live standpoint. Is that impacting it? Maybe not. I could be wrong.
As somebody who goes to, I think.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of wacky, Nate. You're kind of out there.
Hey, just mind your business. That's all. Just mind your business.
I think you're kind of twisted on that one.
So
I think it's I think it's 2 years of a bad team. It's just caught up to everybody.
Well, I I also expect them to use that and the uncertainty around the streaming and all that. But it will be. I think this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Is that like that's only going to make the problem worse? Obviously, if Cardinal fans are not showing up because the team is bad, and then you don't reinforce the team to make it good again, like that's a death spiral, right? So they're gonna have to do something. But I do think that the if the season starts out well next year and it's a competitive team throughout, I suspect that they'll break 3 million again. Like Cardinal fans want to go to games and want to support the team.
Yeah.
It will take, I think, very little to get it back over that point. But if it's another bad offseason and the season starts rough next year, yeah, it'll go down even more, because at least half of this year felt like it was a competitive team that you'd have fun going to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll obviously talk about the future state of the Cardinals.
We got
quite a bit.
Yeah, we got 5 months of episodes to fill, so we got plenty to talk about for 2025.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really weird offseason, but we'll see. All right, the Cardinals. Speaking of weird offseason, the Cardinals are expected to host an end-of-season press conference as soon as next Monday, writing that staffing changes will stretch from the front office to the dugout. Those are likely to be announced on Monday. So obviously we could speculate wildly. We could say that, maybe there's going to be a public flogging. Maybe we can all throw tomatoes at John Mozeliak and his staff. Do you have you want to throw out any guesses, feelings, thoughts, concerns of who might be on the chopping block or what might go down? Obviously, Gary LaRocque stepping down.
Well, I think it's very interesting. They wrote from the front office to the dugout. So, I mean, though, if they say to the dugout, you immediately think Ali Marmol, right?
Yep. Yeah, this season isn't Daniel Descalso's fault.
Yeah, it'd be weird if he got cut. I guess, like, who else is down there that they could mean, unless they mean the players, which I'm sure that is a part of it this offseason.
But they wouldn't announce what would they announce in a press conference? Like we're murdering Wilson Contreras finally.
But also you also don't normally like show your hand that you're going to fire your manager in 4 days also when there's like 4 games left, but maybe he already knows. I mean, there's a possibility that he's been communicated with already that there's changes coming up and they just have to wait till Monday to announce them. But also he was extended. So I don't know.
Yeah. People get extensions and get fired all the time.
True.
I would not be surprised if there's a major Mo announcement.
Yeah.
That he's taking a reduced role like immediately.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if there's an Ali Marmol announcement. I would not be surprised if hitting and pitching coaches and really everybody is kind of out there. I also wouldn't be surprised if there are some more depthy development and coaching changes throughout the organization, because obviously the minor leagues are done at this point. Again, I don't think that an axe is going to come down and the organization's head is going to get chopped off. But I do think it's going to be serious. And I would not be surprised, Nate, if we see a Chaim Bloom announcement.
Yeah.
Either Monday or shortly thereafter. And while he might not be a Pobo or a Kobo or a GM or whatever.
Maybe a BOGO.
Maybe a Frodo.
Oh, maybe a Bilbo.
Could it be any of one of these?
Could be some Froyo.
You know what? Don't care about Froyo. Give me ice cream. Give me the real shit.
On one of my trips recently, I work with an Italian man, and we went out one night to try to find some gelato. And the gelato place was closed, so everyone went to get Froyo instead. And he was so offended he left.
I respect that, man.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Froyo guy either, but like, I don't know if there's any food choice that someone would make that would make me leave the party. But
Well, that's because you don't care about anything,
yeah.
Nate. At least this man has scruples. He puts his heels down when he has to, when it matters.
It's true. I think that there's a possibility that something happens with Gersh and Chaim takes his spot too. We always forget Gersh is out there, I don't know, shaking hands, kissing babies, whatever it is that he does.
Yeah.
I could see them doing something like he moves into another role. Chaim takes over the GM role, and Mozeliak announces that he is planning to step out of the Pobo role at the end of 2025 or something like that. And like the lines of succession are sort of made clear.
I think Chaim Bloom is going to take on a more baseball ops role, and John Mozeliak is going to take on a more business development role.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to wind this down, so that Mo isn't getting fired, because obviously the DeWitts like him, and they owe their legacy to him. But I don't think they want him in charge anymore. And I think they're going to do it a very nice way. Send him off, in golden handcuffs, and Chaim Bloom.
Golden handcuffs. I think you mean golden umbrella is usually the
Oh yeah, that's when you have
or
like
golden
RSUs,
parachute.
yeah.
A golden parachute is when these executives get to just like bail on a thing and get $1 billion.
I'd like to get Mo in some golden handcuffs, if you know what I mean.
Get that bow tie working.
And I think, Nate, obviously we'll have more time to talk about this. I think we're going to have a little bit of a player shakeup.
Yeah.
I think if Chaim Bloom does get the job, what does a good executive do? And that's come in and make their presence known by shaking some things up.
Sure.
Whether those are good ideas or bad ideas, we know that's how a real executive operates.
Of course.
We'll see. But I think this is interesting. I mean, we were killing people. We were trying to beg for an off-season press conference last year.
Yeah.
And they're coming right out of the gates, and it makes me think that it's going to be action-oriented. We're going to get moving. I think we're going to have something to really chew on very soon.
You know what I think would be the big, like if that happens, Chaim comes in, takes over.
Yeah.
Don't resign Goldie, trade Arenado.
Yeah.
Just be like, we're done with, like, we're moving on. That little experiment, it's done. I think that would be, because I'm trying to think, like, what would be another version of like a big, like, I'm here now, look at me move. And it's not like who else would it be, other than maybe signing some big time outfielder and trading like Burleson, Walker, Newt Bar, something like that.
Well, let's think of it this way. Let's put it really, through the line of thought that Chaim Bloom is probably operating through. What would the Rays do with this team built right now? They would get rid of Goldie. They would have probably moved Arenado and Goldie last year, actually, but probably just not re-sign Goldie, move Arenado, try to get something really young for Nolan Arenado, and have them take on as much of that cash as they possibly can, and then look out for strikeout stuff on the pitching market. So, I'm trying to think, is there any other Rays-like moves they would do? Trade the Cardinals for a outfielder. Good news is we already have those outfielders, so he doesn't have to do that. But yeah, I think you're right. And you know what else the Rays might do is extend a young player.
Yeah. I mean,
holy shit.
We've all been at what point, what more do we need to see from Masyn Winn, I think is my question. Because I think I can't think of anything else that we want to see from him to justify any sort of extension.
What about gosh darn Brendan Donovan?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking for like next episode, but I know you have it on a little bit on this outline. Brendan Donovan might end up leading the team in WAR this season. Not that's
what
like
talking about.
It's not a crazy hill to, bar to cross. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. He might end the season with us saying he was the best player on the team. Him and Masyn Winn, basically, they're neck and neck.
So yeah, we'll talk about it. Well, let's just move on then.
Yeah.
Because I think Ivan Herrera should also be in that conversation. Let's move on to some of the September performances that have been top notch. Brendan Donovan ending the season like a boss, one of the best hitters in MLB in September with a 168 WRC plus, climbing up the WAR leaderboard, like Nate just said. Ostensibly, him and Masyn Winn are tied. Masyn Winn has 3.2, Brendan Donovan with 3, which is standout and fantastic. Newbar has a 449 on base percentage in the month of September. I think this just proves, at least to me, that when Newbar is healthy, he is an extremely good player. He's another player who I would consider extending. I know health has not been on his side, but when he is healthy, I just really think he's top notch, and I like his glove. And then Ivan Herrera, who I also think the Cardinals could get really good value on extending early. It's added to his great offensive year by posting a 172 WRC plus and a 344 batting average in fairly limited play in this final month. But 3 young guys doing their thing, Nady H.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's been a down year, and there's a lot of reasons to be disappointed in the Cardinals, and we're right there with everyone. The podcast this has been a overall more just pessimistic season for the show as well, but there's also a lot of stuff to be excited about, a lot of reasons to look forward to 2025, and I think those 3 guys are right there at the center of that. Plus the aforementioned Quinn Matthews, Tink Hens, JJ Weatherholt. There's a lot of young guys on this team that I think are going to be really good.
There really is. So to go the other direction, Nolan Arenado has fallen on hard times again. Should we be worried about him? His WRC plus has dipped again. He isn't hitting the ball hard. He's playing good defense.
Yeah.
But
yes, absolutely. At this point,
it's bad.
Yeah, at this point, it's basically 2 seasons of Arenado being like league average, slightly above league average, which, it is like, okay, he's a Hall of Fame level player, which means his bad seasons he's still like a productive Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
But we have to bring, like, I hate using this because it's not our money. It is what it is. But like, he is paid $35 million a year. That's a big chunk of the Cardinal budget. And like, you need, if you're going to spend like 20% of your budget on a single player and they're only putting up 2 to 3 WAR a season, like that is negative value, and it sucks. I mean, Arenado was like everyone's favorite baseball player in the world when he came to the Cardinals, and we got some good seasons, or at least a good season or 2 with him. But like, I don't. I mean, we are way past small sample size, and it's been pretty rough.
Yeah. It's like, do you bet on him making an impactful enough adjustment where he can come back as a hitter? Or is it what it is? Is it the end here? Not the end, because that's overly dramatic. He's still putting up 3 WAR this season, basically all on defense, which is not bad. But it sucks. Didn't think it was going to go this way.
Yeah, if you look at Statcast, like, I mean, it's rough. I mean, he's basically his expected WOBA is basically league average, which is, I guess, okay. Like, a league average hitter with elite defense is valuable at third base. That's why he's putting up WAR. But I mean, it is blue across the board when you look at Statcast. He the only thing he's maintained really is that he's still not striking out a lot, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's drawing a ton of walks to replace those strikeouts. He's just hitting the ball weakly. Yeah.
That kind of goes back to the earlier conversation around what's going to change during that press conference. The hitting approach. Is the fact that not many hitters are getting better.
Yeah.
Now, Arenado's could just be age, and there's nothing he can do about it, and that's the way it is. But It's the fact that hitters aren't getting better. Is that going to be a topic of conversation? Basically, unless you're Masyn Winn.
And until the last month or
Donnie?
two, Alec Burleson and Donovan, and I guess, well, I don't know, Herrera, they have a league average offense. So like there's stuff on both sides of it. But this wasn't supposed to be a league average offense, right? This was supposed to be at least above average, if not more. So when you go name by name, you can find good and you can find bad, which is how you end up at average. But like, it should have been better. So, hitting coach, maybe, they're all in on that system now, right? So it's not just like a single guy. It's like you need to fundamentally change like all the way down the minors too.
Speaking of, you just brought his name up. Alec Burleson put up a 125 WRC plus in the first half, only a 74 in the second half. However, that is mostly due to a disastrous September. He's only posted a 29 WRC plus in the month of September. Not something that I am super worried about. This could just be a young player kind of hitting the wall. This is most games he's ever played. The league figuring him out. All the things that happen. So nothing I'm super worried about, but
I have a tiny theory. This is simply eye test, though. I've not done any research into it. Maybe in the off season I can take a deeper look at it. But it felt like here in the second half, he's been trying to take more walks, and I wonder if he was basically trying to make an adjustment, because that's a hole in his overall approach. Is that he just does not walk very much. Everything else is pretty good, frankly, if not great. So you could see him thinking like, I need to get better at drawing walks. So he's trying to draw more walks, and then that's just resulting in worse contact, more strikeouts, etc. So just a thought. I'll try to dig into that later. But if that's the case, like, at least you can understand it. Or it's what you said, he's just getting tired, which is reasonable too. Masyn Winn was talking about that a couple weeks ago. I talked about it a little bit on the show with Kelsey last week, but like, that him and the team have acknowledged, like, some of these younger guys, like, they're starting to wear down, and they don't have the adrenaline of a playoff run. So it's just like, let's just get this over with.
Yeah. Speaking of getting this over with, we've got one little piece of good news to end. A little bit of honey.
Ooh.
Ooh, see that? That's all I was looking for. Michael McGreevy.
Yeah.
He looked good last night. He's looked pretty good. He's looked better than I thought he was going to look. The fastball's been a little more betterer than I expected it to be. It's all been better than I expected it to be. And I think that's pretty exciting. It's almost like the Cardinals have this problem. They have too many number fives. And what could a McGreevy do? What could a Quinn Matthews do? What could these other guys do? Now, I think it's probably smart to re-sign Gibson, even though I don't really love it, just to have an extra arm in the mix because somebody's going to get hurt again.
Yeah.
But back to McGreevy. I think he's been great. I like watching him pitch. He's efficient. He's a competitor. I like him.
Well, they gave him a start earlier in the year. They gave him this start here at the end of the year. We know there are going to be opportunities in the rotation going into 2025. Certainly feels like this is a little bit of an indication that, this was another shot at maybe laying the groundwork to have him be in the rotation right out of the gates of 2025. And it just occurred to me too. And I don't even think this is a Rays move necessarily. It's probably what most teams do, but doing something with Miles Michaelis is probably another move that would fit in there, and also be one where you're just sort of like a cold executive move where it's like, obviously he's been a big part of the team for the last 5 years. He's been awesome as a Cardinal. We all love Miles Michaelis, but if you're doing like the shrewd, like the team is moving on move,
what would the Rays do with Miles Michaelis?
They'd trade him for some like 18-year-old that the I don't know, like the Guardians have, and that 18-year-old is going to turn out to be like one of the best starters in 5 years or something like that. But the Guardians would never trade for Miles Michaelis, so I need to think about the Angels. The Angels are going to trade for Miles Michaelis, He's going to put up 205 innings with them at a 4.9 ERA, and they're going to trade away a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
If he was the Rays, if the Cardinals, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's another, we'll talk about that all off season. How Rays is Chaim Bloom going to try to go? How much money and shrewdness are the DeWitts going to ask for? Because that's not how they've really behaved. The kind of contracts that they've handed out are very anti-Rays. The Pujols and the Waynos and the Yachties and all those things. So yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah. We're really leaning on Chaim Bloom's Rays experience, but he was also with the Red Sox for a little while and made some pretty rough trades. So we'll see. That said,
I have a lot of opinions about that, and we'll talk about that as the offseason goes on. But I have a lot of thoughts on that and John Henry. And look at what John Henry's group is trying to do. They are trying to buy an NBA expansion team. John Henry doesn't make a lot of sense and is not focused on baseball, but we'll save on. We'll talk about that.
And the Red Sox have one of the best prospect systems in baseball now. So
that would be nice.
Yeah.
I'll take a Tristan Casas.
Yeah. Right. Or Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell. They're going to probably be pretty good here pretty soon. So,
yep.
Okay. Well, give you a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of honey throughout this whole segment.
I like that.
A little bit of Martin Lawrence, a little bit of Will Smith.
Oh no, we should stop doing that.
We're the bad boys of podcasting, Ben.
Oh my God.
And hey, if you want to support these bad boys, consider checking out our Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Supporters of any level get access to our private Discord server. It's the Bird Squad, baby. Tweet. We're wrapping up our fantasy baseball season. Beefy boys! Damn you, Beefy boys. They beat me in the semifinals. So I wish them the worst of luck in the championship round here, as they are now taking on what's their team name? Because it's the Carpinal Benchwarmers. It's got the Cardinals with AARP in the middle of it. It's a good little because the Cardinals are old bit. So I wish both of them terrible luck because I'm not in it. So. But if you want to participate in that, join the Bird Squad, hang out with us online outside of the podcast, check out the Patreon. Or if you just want to support the show and the time and effort that goes into bringing it to you every week, you can subscribe there, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. You also can support the show by leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really does help. It takes just like 2 minutes. So thank you for those of you who are about to go and do it. Hambo, where can people find us elsewhere online?
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at Talk About Birds. We are on Instagram at Talking About Birds. The show is available on Spotify or YouTube. If you're one of those types of people, you can come and look at our mouse flap around on TikTok. We have a TikTok. You can email us thoughts, questions, concerns, restaurant recommendations, whatever, to talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can always call and leave us a voicemail or send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That is 848-482-4737.
All right. One series left, Hambone. We've got the Cardinals going to San Francisco to end the season in that beautiful ballpark, playing against the Giants, a team much like the Cardinals. Kind of always have been. They're not. This is a useless series. What do you expect to see out of the Giants this weekend?
Yeah, I do think that they are very similar. I think that if I had to pick a team to be a fan of, I'd probably go Giants right now, though, if I'm totally honest with you. I really like Logan Webb. I expect them to retain Blake Snell. I think that would make a lot of sense for them. I also think that they are going to make a splash. You talk about a team that's going to get Corbin Burns. I think the Giants have that written all over them. Outside of that, Elliot Ramos
he feels like a Giants pitcher, doesn't he?
Makes a ton of sense to me. You have him, Blake Snell, and Logan Webb at the top of that rotation with some of their young guys. I think that is slam dunk. Also, they've been wanting to spend money for years. They spent a little with Matt Chapman, but their pockets are deep. I think they're going to keep doing that. Outside of that, I'll say who's fun. I think that Patrick Bailey is a massively underrated player, and I think that if you're a Yadier Molina fan, there's a lot of Yadier Molina in Patrick Bailey. The way that he goes about it, his pop time, he has the best pop time in baseball. He has one of the better arms in baseball. He's one of the better framers in baseball. He can hit a little bit, but I like him as kind of like a under the radar, really good player.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all I got for you.
The last game of the season, we should see Hayden Birdsong pitch for the Giants.
This podcast's favorite pitcher, of course.
Well, that's so I bring him up for two reasons. One, talking about birds. Birdsong, awesome last name. And he's an interesting young guy. He does have some strikeouts in him, so we'll see what kind of energy the Cardinals bring to the last game of the season. He's a high strikeout, high walk rate kind of guy. We could go down swinging, or I don't know, maybe it'll be a fun offensive outburst to end the season. I guess we'll see.
And we're almost there.
Yep. Well, let's get to some league news.
Yeah, let's talk about it. The Reds have decided to fire manager of the past 6+ years. David Bell has been kicked to the curb. I was pretty surprised by this move.
Yeah.
I kind of thought he was going to be the guy to steer, the turnaround. I think the Reds probably didn't understand exactly where their team was this year, and they just kind of let it ride out. Obviously, the latter half of their year did not really go the way that they wanted it to go. They have a lot of promise. Getting no real, action from Matt McLain, I think, was huge for this team. Encarnacion Strand being nothing for this team, I think, was a pretty big hit.
Marte being suspended for 80 games and then not being much when he came back.
Yeah, they do have Spencer Steer. They do have Ellie De La Cruz. I think Jonathan India is a fine player. I don't know if this is David Bell's fault really at all, though.
6 years though. And they have there's also just the natural evolution of baseball managers,
Totally.
So 6 years.
I like David Bell though.
I do too. I think he's a pretty good manager. And I agree with you that it's not his fault, but I also rarely think it is the manager's fault. Just in the same way, I don't really think it's the manager's. They're the reason the team won either. I think that they're a part of it and it matters, but. If you're putting everything in the hands of the manager, then that's way too much responsibility. Did you see the quote from Jonathan India that's going around?
No.
We're tired of losing, India said. It's the same thing every year here. We just float around 500 and try to make the push, but we just don't have enough. We need to make a move. I know what it is, but I just want to say it. He says, I know what it is, but I just want to say it to the media. So, I don't know.
This pre or post David Bell getting fired?
This article came out today, so I would imagine that this was in the last day or two.
So my guess is that he's saying they need to spend some goddamn money.
Well, so then India added specifically about spending money. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, there's a certain thing we need to go get. So
pitching.
Yeah. It sounds like he wants to both blast the front office, but he is afraid to say our pitching is bad because he shares a dugout with all these guys.
That's his guys,
yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't really have a starting rotation, so I don't blame him for saying that.
Hunter Green is great, but
Yep.
Yeah. But Sonny Gray is great. Yes.
Sure. All right, moving down. The Nationals have decided to option all-star shortstop CJ Abrams
Breakout
to AAA.
Yeah.
Breakout all-star shortstop CJ Abrams, who had a really bad second half and then apparently was seen at 8 a.m. in a casino in the Chicagoland area the night before, or I guess the morning before a day game. He's been demoted. That AAA season for the Nationals is over. So that's just a big old slap on the wrist. Sounds like him and Dave Martinez they said that they wept together during the conversation. So obviously very emotional, hopefully
they wept
cathartic.
together.
That's what Dave Martinez said, is that they wept together.
I feel like having wept with someone is even more dramatic than crying with someone. I don't want to. I'm not trying
I wish you would weep with me, Nate, like once.
I don't know if I've ever wept.
Well, of course, that is the least shocking thing to me ever. That like you are
wept.
Yeah, you are a broken human being with no soul. Yeah, exactly.
Don't shoot that green shit at me.
Okay. When's the last time you can remember a player of this caliber getting sent down for essentially bad behavior?
I don't know.
Never?
I can't think of right off the top of the dome. I can't think of anybody being demoted for bad behavior like this. I'm sure there are examples, but I can't think of anything right now.
Yeah, C70 is going to tweet us in 1986. So and so got pushed down for having too many soda pops.
Yeah, get him. Get him for knowing a lot of stuff.
It always annoys me that he knows more than me, so I have to attack him. Anyways, that's crazy. Want to hear something else crazy in the news?
Have you seen this?
Want to hear about this?
Yeah, sure.
Heard about this? Rowdy Tellez DFA'd by the Pittsburgh Pirates, 4 plate appearances away from receiving a $200,000 bonus.
That's rough, man.
Absolute horseshit. Bob Nutting is a joke. Ben Sherrington is a puppet. It's a terrible organization, and I hope they all burn in hell for that. Too much?
You shot that green shit at them.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So, I mean, it couldn't be more blatant that they're cutting him to save $200,000. You know, for what it's worth, he's having an absolutely horrible season. He's a -5 WAR, and I guess you could see a part of you
-5, -0.5,
-0.5.
Okay.
Did I say -5?
You did.
Okay, that would be insane. He's having a -0.5 F4 season. After a -7 last year. So I guess I don't know what they thought they were going to get different from him, but so I guess like if you're just going in a cold business sense, it's like, well, he didn't really earn any of the paycheck, let alone like a bonus for plate appearances. But like, I mean, come on, either do it like 3 weeks ago or don't do it at all. Doing it for one game basically before he earns $200,000. Like it couldn't be more blatant. Couldn't be there couldn't be a shittier way to do it.
Totally crazy to me. All right, and last piece of news, and I'm sure this will be outdated as soon as this episode drops, but Ohtani is now at 53 home runs and 55 stolen bases. I have changed my tune, Nathan. I think you got to give the man the MVP.
Yeah.
He just won't stop. That game against the Marlins alone, I mean, he is just full Super Saiyan mode. He is out of control. We've never seen anything like it. Everybody's talking about it. It's the biggest thing ever.
People are telling me.
But he's just simply amazing. Yeah. And I think, I don't know. I think when met with the reality of the 50 plus season, I think I'm eating some crow. I'm just going to say he's the MVP.
Well, if it was even just like if it was like a 40-40 season, I think there'd be a strong argument for some of these guys that are also playing elite defensive positions, like your Francisco Lindors and whatnot. But yeah, at this point, I think it's going to be unanimous. Maybe a Mets writer will still vote for Lindor, but he's, it's crazy.
When you take into account that he's also been rehabbing for Tommy John and the fact that he might pitch in the playoffs in a bullpen capacity, it's incredible.
Yeah, you get the sense that he would still be doing this even if he was pitching too. All of his counting sets would be reduced because he has days off, more days off as a pitcher. But which like I'm wondering at what point does he just stop being a pitcher? Because I know he's really good at pitching also, which is insane. But now look at what you get when you get a full season of just offensive Ohtani. It's wild.
And Nate, I agree with you. I do think that he should keep pitching as long as he can because seeing a unicorn is amazing.
Yeah.
But you put Shohei out in left field. He's really fast. He has a great arm. I have no doubt in my mind that he would be a top 10 outfielder probably pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about WAR recruit. Like you might get to 10 WAR as an outfielder pretty easily.
I think pretty easily.
He's putting up.
If he was even like because he takes from a WAR perspective, he takes a hit for being a DH. So I think if he was even just a league average outfielder, he'd surpass 10 this year.
Yeah.
Let alone if he was like you said, it'd be pretty wild if he was one of the best hitters of all time, an incredible pitcher, but was bad at playing the outfield. You know what I mean?
It just seems like he won't be bad at anything.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I bet you he'd be a great left fielder.
I think so. He probably could play center field. He'd probably be.
He's fast. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. He'd probably be an elite center fielder. So I think what maybe the sustainable move would be he eventually becomes a reliever and he just pitches high leverage innings every once in a while but hits every single day or something like that.
Yeah.
But I get it. He was an incredible starter too. So like, I get it. You want both. And if you can have both, why not? But like this offensive season is just absurd. And it doesn't even feel like it feels like he'll do it again next year. If given the same amount of at bats, and he keeps getting hurt while pitching. So you're like, should he just hit every day?
Pitching is really bad for you.
Yeah.
I want him to pitch as long as he can because it is amazing. But from a strict value prop standpoint, I think that's a pretty compelling argument.
If he retired on September 31st, or let's say after the playoffs, is he Hall of Fame?
I would vote for him.
Yeah, probably, right?
I don't know how you don't.
He has none of the totals, but his like what he's done, he at least has like a plaque or something. You know how they put like balls and like honor like crazy achievements and whatnot. He's definitely in there.
Do you want to guess how much Fangraphs WAR he's accrued to in his career at this point?
39.
Very close. 40.
Nice. Oh my God, I almost nailed that.
Yeah, you did.
And by Price is Right rules. Yeah. So, I mean, he's only 2 seasons away from starting to enter into the discussion anyway. So,
at this rate,
it seems inevitable, but I just, he is below. I don't know what the lowest Hall of Famer is. It's probably something silly because the Hall of Fame is a popularity contest, especially for the first 50 years. But like he's below most modern standards.
Right.
But obviously he's the player caliber of the inner circle Hall of Fame.
Right. All right, that's all the league news I have for this week, Nady.
All right, I want to throw one in there, Hambone, but mostly it's just to bring up something from a couple weeks ago. So Juan Soto hit his 40th home run of the season, making him the 8th player to do it in MLB history before they were 26. So he's on his own trajectory of Hall of Fame-ness. But mostly, do you remember, I think it was 3 weeks ago, you and I did a little game where I was going to win something special if he hit a home run on the day that we predicted. This guy's hit 40 home runs this season, and he can't hit one on that Sunday against Jameson Taillon. I'm declaring beef, Hambone. I've got beef with Juan Soto. Okay.
I got your back, dog.
Yeah, thanks, dog.
I got your back. I hate him.
Yeah.
I hate him with
Juan Soto.
Who does he think he is?
Thank you. That's what I'm looking for.
26-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't care.
All I wanted was one home run to win a little special card. Okay. So Juan Soto, you're on notice.
I think he's on notice. I think it's about time that he got over himself. I also think, who does he think he is?
Dude.
Is the biggest question that I have
Who
out there.
does he think he is?
So Juan, when you hear this, just know.
Just know. I'm looking.
over,
I'm
bro.
keeping my eye out for you.
If you ever come through the Park Hill neighborhood of Denver and I see your ass out on the street,
You better have a Parallels special card for me, or I'm going to be shooting some green shit.
That's right. Park Hillionaire out here, baby. Let's go.
Park Hillionaire?
Yeah, that's what we call ourselves. In this house, at least.
Even with the tiny sidewalks.
I don't walk.
It's true. You glide.
That's right.
All right. Hambone, another bit of breaking news. This is going to segue right into the game, though.
Oh, wow.
Backyard Baseball 97 is set to be re-released. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I haven't.
I don't know if you ever played the Backyard Baseball games, but they were fun. It was licensed.
I actually have never played them.
It was licensed through MLB, so you'd get like a blend of like Kirby Puckett, Chipper Jones, and also like little kids and stuff. Like just is
right.
Well, they're re-releasing it, and so to celebrate that, I've got a little game for you that I'm calling Game or Name. Okay. So what I've got here is a list of team names. Some of them are from Backyard Baseball 97. Some of them are active professional baseball team names.
All right.
You have to tell me, I guess, is it a name or a game? Game being from Backyard Baseball 97. Name being...
I get it, Nate. I get it. Do you want to explain it one more time? Jesus Christ.
Okay, here we go. I'm just doing I'm not doing like the city name or anything with it. So the Sea Unicorns.
Backyard Baseball.
Nope. The Norwich Sea Unicorns are a real team.
Really?
Yep. Okay.
I'm Googling that because I don't really believe you.
Okay. Baseball. Pause while Ben fact checks me.
Damn it.
Yeah. I don't know why you only fact check me and not other people. All right.
What?
Atomic.
Oh, God.
That's for the real ones out there. Atomic Oysters.
Atomic Oysters. Okay, so let's think about this. The only state that really claims atomic is Arizona. There are no oysters in Arizona. Could atomic oysters mean anything else? Nuclear power plants, atomic, 3 Mile Island, New York. Oysters? Are oysters off the coast of New York? I don't think so. I'm going to say Backyard Baseball.
You got it. The Atomic Oysters are from Backyard Baseball. I'm pretty sure there are oysters off the coast of New York, though. At least
I never heard of that, though. I've never heard of somebody being like, "Hey, it's a Brooklyn oyster."
You don't want a Brooklyn oyster.
That's something totally different.
Somebody
throws a wet piece of newspaper at the side of your head.
I'm pretty sure oysters, like a big part of that industry, started in like New York and all that, but I could be totally wrong on that.
Do I need to fact check you on this too? Sounds like you're just talking out of your ass.
I don't know if it's fact checking yeah, sure. Go ahead and go Google oysters off the coast of New York.
Of New York.
I'm like, oh, we actually might end this episode at a reasonable amount of time. But nope, we got to Google, are there oysters off the coast of New York?
New York City was the world's oyster capital. Okay. But that is past tense. So there are no more edible oysters off New York's waters.
So it doesn't happen anymore, but it was. Okay, because I listened to an episode of The Dollop that I've talked about that show a fair amount on this show. It's one of my favorites. And they did a whole thing about oysters. And I thought it was New York. I didn't know they were no longer there, though.
Wow, cool.
Okay,
whatever.
Here we go. The Tasty Cheeses.
Tasty cheeses. Tasty cheeses. The fact that they added the tasty part makes me think it's bullshit. Because there's a lot of teams like the Montgomery biscuits and stuff like that, the steamed cheeseburgers, but calling it the tasty cheeses.
Ben just like head down, mumbling to himself, tasty cheeses. Tasty cheeses.
Let's say backyard baseball.
Yep, you got it. The Tasty Cheeses are a backyard baseball team.
It just sounds kiddie, you know?
Yeah.
It sounds like some kid bullshit.
Yeah. All right. How about
Stupid kids.
Rumble Ponies?
But I know that's a minor league team.
That is the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some of these,
I don't know why. I think
you might just know their name.
I think I've interacted with the Rumble Ponies in some fashion.
So I think some of these I've done minor league name games before, and some of these I might have used already too. So that might be some of it.
Yeah, God forbid you do some research and look up what you've already used.
This took me hours.
Okay.
The Woolly Mammoths.
Woolly Mammoths. I could see that. Like maybe I think Montana. Haven't they found a bunch of woolly mammoth bones in Montana? I bet there's I know that there's a minor league baseball team in Montana. I think Arenado played for a minor league team in Montana at some point coming up through the Rockies. I'm going to say that is a minor league team.
Nope. That is from Backyard Baseball 97.
Damn, that'd be a good team name.
It would be a good team name. All right. The Honey Hunters.
Honey Hunters. Now we're talking. All right.
It's like the first half of the podcast.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. And I love all the honey, but I don't like the sting. You know what I'm saying, Nate?
Hey, boo-boo.
The Honey Hunters. But it does sound like some kid bullshit, so I'm going to go with Backyard Baseball.
The Gastonia Honey Hunters are a real...
Wow, Gastonia.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
All right.
Gastonia sounds like a citadel or a village in the Mad Max universe.
It does. All right. The Lucky Duckies.
That's okay. That's some kid bullshit. Backyard baseball all day.
I was gonna say you need to stop using the kid bullshit logic, but then Lucky Duckies is.
Yeah. Come on now.
Okay. The Sock Puppets.
Sock Puppets. That's fun. That could be kid. Could be real. Based on nothing at all, I'm going to go that is a real team.
The Burlington Sock Puppets. There you go.
What a dumb name.
Yep. How about the Rubber Ducks?
The Rubber Ducks. That's that's bat time. But I could also see. I'll go Backyard Baseball.
The Akron Rubber Ducks.
Damn, Akron, you're better than that.
Just a couple more.
Didn't Ohio put a bunch of rubber ducks in the lake one time for a world record? Isn't that
maybe? Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. All right.
I saw I think it was when I was in Valencia earlier. There was a store that was 100% rubber ducks. They just sold thousands of rubber ducks.
Huh.
Yeah.
That sounds like a bad store.
Yeah. I mean, it was right in the middle of the city center. So, clearly.
All right.
Yeah. Or maybe I just happened to be there for the 5 weeks it managed to stay open.
Yeah. That seems more likely.
All right. The Paddleheads.
Paddleheads. That is out of Missoula.
Yeah, you got it. The Missoula Paddleheads.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. The Stinky Pansies.
The Stinky Pansies. Wow. I don't know. I'm gonna go Backyard Baseball.
Yeah, it's Backyard Baseball.
Okay, yeah, it's kid bullshit.
Pansies.
Yeah,
they do smell. It would be I hope that one day a real team takes over the name the Stinky Pansies.
Yeah, we can only
hope. We can dream.
We can dream, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Well, Hambone, you got 5 of them right. 5 out of 10. So
yeah,
not too bad.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It didn't make me angry, so I'm okay with that.
I will probably get the relaunch of Backyard Baseball when it comes out. Those games are fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to note that you have fully taken me out of Island Time. You are the one that ripped me out of it, so I'm happy to be back, I guess.
Gotcha. That was my goal. I want to drag him back into reality.
Oops, there goes Rabdi. Won't give it up that easy.
Oh my God. Oh, whoa. Rabbit, is that you?
Oh my God. In the show.
All right. Thank you, everybody. That's good. It's the end of the 2024 season, I guess.
Oh God.
We'll be back next week, and we'll probably do some end of year recap stuff and talk about the playoffs and who we're rooting for and what we're watching and whatnot. And like we've been saying, we'll be here all year. The season's over, but the show is not. So follow us as we talk about the breakdown what happened in 2024, revisit that, and prepare ourselves for 2025. So stick with us. Tell your friends. Sounds weird, but now's a great time to get into the show because the season's over, so you don't have to deal with the sadness anymore, and we can just dream about 2025.
It's all stinky pansies after this.
It's all stinky pansies. And with that, hopefully we still have some fun games like last night's game as we end the season. And remember that we still just enjoy watching baseball. And we'll see you next week. Until then.
Playoffs, too. We got playoffs to cover. We'll cover the playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
And one last time for 2024. Go Cardinals.
See you later.